Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Strategy Game Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Shippey, and today I have my great friend and leader, John Melhorn, here. John, thanks so much for being here.
Hey, Lauren. Thanks for having me.
So, John, tell me a little bit about what you do now, currently, how you got here.
Okay. So, you and I know each other from way back in college.
Yeah.
Which is getting way back now, more and more every year. And my wife was your roommate in college, which was cool
Yes.
to know you have known you guys for this long. And you've seen me. I started in architecture school at the University of Miami. And then we lived in New York for a little bit when you guys were in Philly.
Yep.
And then when we came back down here, I started my own architecture practice. And it's grown, and through mergers and partnerships and then buyouts, and here we are. And I've got a architecture and construction company now based in Jupiter, Florida, that we build custom residential homes for special clients.
They are very special, and the homes are very, very special. And tell me about that, because it's just even the way you say it. Like, I feel like you really have an understanding for the people that you serve. And I know, like, that's really your heart is, like, all about really serving the families that you build for. So can you tell me just a little bit about, like, what that means to you, like, that process?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I realized, like, obviously, I grew up in Kansas. The reason I don't live in Kansas now is I can't practice the same type of architecture that I do there.
Okay. Why is that?
Well, I was to say that being said, like, just the level at which we like to practice, that I would say the cost value, the design, it's just a different market.
Yeah.
It's more of a luxury market, which is what I practice in. But in terms of why I'm bringing that up is how it relates to the people, is that it's also a crowded market down here. I mean, I think there's a lot of people and there's a lot of competition.
Okay.
And so how we stand out is that I like to look at it as that we are a guide for our clients,
I like
right?
that
So
word.
we get just like us. I mean, even though we've lived down here now for 15 plus years, like, there's still a lot of Floridians or transplants. And so you're coming down here and it's very different than where I grew up or where I worked in New York. And so you kind of have to get both acclimated, I think, to that process, and you need some familiarization with how things work down here.
Mm-hmm.
And since COVID, we've had a huge surge of people that have moved down here, and this is for a lot of good reasons.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good climate. I think socially, politically, environmentally, all those things are great.
Yeah.
Economically, but I think people come down with, like, the expectations of what it's like where they lived before. And so that's, anyways, the long story short is, like, we want to be the guide to those clients when they come down here and help them from start to finish, understanding what the lifestyle is like, what it takes to build a house, help build a network, help build relationships, and ultimately build their home.
Wow. So it's so much more than just somebody building your home. Like, it just really is such a process of, like, building the relationship with them and, like, kind of navigating the path alongside of them, right? Is that, like,
Yeah,
kind
exactly.
of what it looks like?
I mean, you think about it, a lot of people have done either some renovation work or any project that you're going to undertake has thousands of decisions. I was just talking with a client the other day, and I went into the Google Gmail and I searched for, like, his address just for a second. I was looking for something, and I had 1,800 hits come up just with the address based on his project, right? And so over a 2-3 year project, you've got 2,000 emails going back and forth that we've done, and that's just with me and him.
Wow.
And so you realize how much goes into that. And so there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of pitfalls that can come from that too. Designing a home for a client is ultimately, like, a very intimate process. You get into kind of the details of how they live their life, what their family dynamic is like.
Yeah. Right. You're there.
Every little personal thing.
It's almost like you join the family for a bit of time in a way.
You do sometimes. Yeah. Right. They're like, hey, you're the nephew I never had or something like that. Right. Too. And that's true. But that's where I want to help walk through those things and, like, treat it. One of our company core values is stewardship.
Okay.
And so that's kind of the concept of it's very similar to ownership, but it's understanding that somebody's trusting you with something very precious to them. So it's their time, it's their money, and all those things that go into building. Like, you're spending your time, you're investing your treasure in that. And so how do we come alongside, take good care of that, treat it like it's our own, make it the best use of it, but then ultimately at the end we gotta, like, give it back. It's not our home,
right?
It's not really my uncle,
right?
I mean, it's a business relationship. It's a professional service that we offered.
And what I see in you and your team, as I've gotten to know, the team a little bit too, what I think is so cool about it is that you're really able to balance the the business side of it, like keeping it very professional and above board and all those things to excellence. But then also you're able to be warm and engaging and really serve as like wise counsel for your clients and families throughout that process as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's such a unique balance. And I think it's a hard balance for people to strike, right? Like the maintaining the professionalism, but balancing it with the really personable relationship aspect, so you do
Yeah,
that well.
it's true. It is all relationships. There's a lot of things in there that you just said that resonate because it's a service business. Like you can't forget that ultimately you work for your
Yeah.
client,
Yeah.
right? But it's great because you get the benefit of getting to build these beautiful projects for your client, and without them, you wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
And you do want to. The goal for me too is to form that relationship.
Mm.
And people always ask when you're done, like, hey, what would you change about this project? Would you do differently? Do you still like it and those kind of things? And like for me, most projects, I would change almost all of it because we've learned like over the 2-3 years
Yeah.
differences and times have changed, but it doesn't mean it's not a beautiful house. And so my point to that is that what I really want to see at the end of the project is a strong relationship, truthfully, because that's how we get our next project is these referrals and clients investing in us and marketing for us and being a spokesperson for us. And it's an easy litmus test of if you did a good job or not, is if the relationship stands, because that means that ultimately they're happy with the house, they're happy with the service that you gave them, and they're happy with the process.
That is so true. And I've seen you be able to do that. So that's just amazing. Just like what a testament to the work.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what your story is, like how you got here. So at Storywork, we always talk about defining your story and then making it matter. So, kind of those themes throughout your life. Can you tell me a little bit about how you grew up and how you even got to want to pursue architecture in the first place?
All right. So that's actually a really funny story. I went to University of Miami, like I kind of mentioned, and on the first day, like most college kids, you're supposed to be there at 8 or something. I think I rolled in at like 8:45, and they had just gone around the room and asked everybody why they wanted to be an architect. And I kind of was like, I'm glad I missed that because I don't really know. I didn't
I don't
know.
know the
I just
answer.
but I will say since then, I've given it a lot of thought. And there's a lot of components of architecture that suit my personality and that I like. So for me, architecture is a tangible practice, which means like it's hands-on.
Yes.
It's like it's tactile. You get to see it built. You start with something and you imagine it, and there's a vision for it, and you bring it to life. And I really like that aspect of it. There's an emotional component to it.
Yeah.
So like we were talking about earlier, the empathy, the listening, the understanding like what people really want. And I think the way that you can emotionally, I don't want to say manipulate, but like the way you emotionally affect people through the process. I think
you're
like how their home is.
Yes. Like what they're saying.
Well, like the emotions that they're going to, but like also what they're going to get out of it, like what they're going to feel from it, how you make people feel. I like that process a lot. And then it's a technical practice. So like both of my parents are doctors. I didn't want to be a doctor, but I like the technical aspects of it. I'm not a master of any one specific thing, but in architecture, you have to know the aesthetics, the art, the context, the zoning, the structural, mechanical, climactic, financial, just every kind of, you kind of touch every little piece and trade throughout that whole process. The relational piece, the people piece, and so those are kind of the reasons why I like it, because I think at heart I try to tell our team that we're problem solvers.
I love
really.
that.
Like we all, architecture is kind of a problem. I have a site.
Yeah.
I have a program. I have a client. I have a budget, a schedule.
It's a lot of things.
A building department. Like, how do we make all those things fit together? How do we still make it beautiful? And how do we get it done on time? And so I like the challenge of that.
That's cool. So it's like this big Rubik's Cube. You're like, how do I put all these pieces together to get them in the right place, like where they need to be?
And sometimes, I think people have a vision of an architect working kind of in isolation with like a big blank sheet and coming up with all this creativity. I like the collaborative effort of it. That's also one of our core values of our company is collaboration. So with architecture and construction, it sort of harkens back to that original master architect where you designed it and you're responsible for building it and everything's in-house and you take ownership of the whole piece of it. And so having the architects, having the project managers, superintendents all in the same office working together collaboratively, speaking to each other consistently and having a common language helps all of us be better at what we do.
Yeah, I love that. It's so funny. Even before you said that sentence, I was thinking about the two pieces and how, a lot of times there's just architecture, right? And there's just construction over here. But what's so great, and I think that relates to some of the work that we do too, is really taking people through the entire process. And that's why we marry the life and the business strategy, because we are guiding them and those things have to move together for true growth to happen. And so I think for you, it's so cool to see both of those pieces moving together in an integrated manner. And the outcome is so much better because of it. Like Wholehearted just comes to mind.
Yeah.
Like it truly is like, because you've done those in parallel.
You have more buy-in from everybody, I think, because everybody, so for the construction, they're always looking ahead at what's coming along and they're having conversations on that. And then for the architects, they're not getting left behind once the construction is done. They still have some buy-in in it, and they're learning from the results of that and how the things that they draw turn out in construction. And construction feels like they have some input on how it's going at the beginning. And then, like I said, for me, it puts we're really aligned with the owner and like what's best for them too, because not to like denigrate other architects, but if you're just an architect, for example, you can just design and design and design. And that's what you get paid is to design. And so if it goes through multiple reviews, or the building department or the town review board wants you to keep making changes, like that's what you do. You just draw and you design, and it's great, and it's a worthy practice. But having the urge and the sense of urgency to get it into construction and like see it built and follow through, and knowing that you're responsible for that thing the whole way through, I think gives you more stewardship of that.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I can see like buy-in from a team, collaboration, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to ask you a question about as you look back, like what is throughout this journey so far the most important trait that has carried you through?
It's probably two. I would say one is just kind of persistence.
Yeah.
Perseverance, how you're going to call it. I think for most people,
definitely.
I think I heard a quote once. It's like, if you look back, you've survived 100% of your hardest days.
Just to not quit.
And you're still here, right? No, but like you've made it, right? You make it through all the hardest days you've had in your life. Like you've made it. And I think that's definitely the thing. I have another friend of mine who runs a shell contracting company, and he had no experience in the construction industry. And I asked him, like, how did you go from, I think he was a Marine, how did you go from being a Marine to running this company? And he said, well, I found that if I showed up, told people what I was going to do, and did what I said, and showed up on time, like it worked out. And I think that's really kind of been my approach too, which is like try to be transparent, simple, straightforward. Be honest about it. That's integrity is our last core value there. I get all three of those in.
Yep,
and it's like, but it's just saying what you're going to do and doing it, and not really worrying about what's in it for me, and am I going to make enough money on this, and what's our margin, those kind of things. Right. I mean, certainly it's a business. We look at and run all those things, but just doing what you're saying you're going to do and being true to that. And like I said, with that's what creates the lasting relationship at the end and gets you new projects. And then you get to do better projects, because no matter how much you market yourself or you put out there with your pretty pictures and those kind of things, like it's relational. It's a network, and it's somebody else saying, I had a great experience with this person, and you should use them.
That is so true. That's so good. Yep, perseverance. So you're here. You didn't quit. You're still here. What's the greatest challenge or triumph, I think? Like both, like on this end for you?
That's a really good question.
I mean, so far, like obviously,
that's the thing. That's the thing too. I think
consistently.
Yeah, about any kind of challenge in life is that every time you get to like a big challenge, you think that like this is the one. Like why me? And
and after this, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah. Or if I can just get past this, but then like you do get past it, and now you look back on those things in retrospect, and you're like, I don't see what the big deal is. Like I have a lot more clarity. So true. On a lot of those things, and. So that actually, I guess that's to your point of like challenge versus triumph. I think that I try not to, but once or twice we've had some legal issues, right? I mean, those always hit me hard, because I feel like, man, we've really failed as a company if we're getting to a legal issue, because we haven't communicated, or we've miscommunicated, we've missed expectations. Yeah, that's hard. Those I hate. I mean, we've had setbacks, acts of God in construction. We've had
like things you can't
events,
control,
like hurricanes, those kind of things, and each of those things give you more confidence to say, I've made it through this. We kept our head, we persevered. We stayed calm, and and we
There
made
it
it
is
right.
again.
And it
Yeah.
always, it'll work out.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's really good. You did it. You
Yeah.
made it right. You persevered through. What have you learned only through time over the years that you would tell others earlier in their journey?
That's an
Just
easy one.
listening it.
That's an easy
Yeah?
one. So
Okay.
I would say having good counsel. So
Okay.
I've
Oh,
done like
that's good.
some DISC and person predictive index and those kind of things about myself too. And one of the things that I've found about myself is I'm a very collaborative person
Okay.
naturally. But that being said, like I always felt like I had to do these things on my own. I had to prove it to myself, or if I was the leader, I needed to make these decisions. And I kind of like actually rejected that piece of myself that was collaborative. And
Oh, this is
it
so
took me away.
interesting
It took me time to get around to like
to
it's
accept it,
okay
like
to call
working
and
it
ask for
in.
help and just
I
say,
love that.
hey,
Okay.
so and so, this is the problem I'm having. And so it's not so and so anymore. Now I have friends and I have people that I've kind of put in this circle
Love
and
it.
built that. And I have found that that's helped me immensely because you're not the only one.
Yeah.
Everybody else is going through
That's
these
so
issues
true.
and they have challenges and we're not. You always feel like you're like reinventing the wheel. Like again, talking about problems and challenges. Every time
Hmm.
you get to a challenge, you feel like, how this is unsurmountable. How am I going to get around this? But every you poll your friends, like 4 out of 5 friends
So
have gone
true.
through a very similar issue, or know a person that's gone through an issue, whether it's a health thing or financial or whatever. And so, anyways, I would say like seeking counsel and building that circle of influence is something I would encourage you to do like really soon. And you'll find the right
Mm.
people that want the right people that will feed into you
Yeah.
are the ones who care, and they'll just do it because they care about sharing and other people and helping other people.
It's true, like mentorship.
Uh-huh.
We've been talking so much about mentorship the last few days with a couple other friends, and it's really come to mind a lot. So that's really it's the power of it. And I was also just at the Life Work Leadership event the other day, and one of the speakers was talking about like the circles of influence that you have.
Mm-hmm.
How there's like the
Ah,
ring
Julie
one.
came
Did
back and
Julie
mentioned it to me.
tell you
Yeah.
about that?
Mm-hmm.
Like ring one, ring two, ring 3, 4, 5. And so you have like your peripheral friends, you have your acquaintances, and then, it gets smaller and smaller. And it's like really looking at those influences and saying, how do these need to shift according to like where I'm going and where I am in my life, And there's some that stay with you the whole way, but then there's others that move in and out. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure over the last few years, as you've really ramped up and been building this business, some of those influences have probably
Yeah.
changed, or maybe some new ones have come in. What do you really look for? Like when you think about your inner circle, the people that are really pouring into you,
Mm-hmm.
what are those characteristics that stand out to you about them?
So I don't know if I meant to try to do this, but I have kind of, you end up finding people that this is the person that I go to for business advice. This is the
Yeah,
person that I go to for family advice. This is the person that I look for our faith or our
that's
church and those
cool.
kind of things. And I think that
Yeah.
I just honestly look for the best examples of those people that I see and
Hmm.
how can I be your friend and how can I add value to what you do and how can I help advise you and you can feed into. And then it's just having humility and
Yeah.
openness and honesty. And that's the other thing I've learned
Yeah,
too, which
that's
is that
huge.
so many people, again, like we were talking about your friends and people struggling through things. I I try to be open and transparent about what I've gone through, the things that we've done, because
Yeah.
everybody else has too. And all of a sudden you start to share and they're like, I had that same experience or we've gone
Yeah.
through that. And those are great ways to connect with people.
I think that's huge. And I just want to highlight this too that you said, because I could relate so much to that, where you were just talking about how for years you knew that you were collaborative, but it's almost like you were trying to like just shut that off or just not almost not bring that piece with you. Maybe.
Yeah, I used it in one way, which is so like if we're gonna do a design or something, sure, bring the team in, let's talk about it, let's uh, you know, make this decision like not by committee, but like let's get everybody's input and do that. But then in my own personal life, like how I run is
Yeah.
I didn't treat it the same way. And I think that's maybe that's just the way that I was raised, or you feel like, hey, as a man or a husband or a business leader, like I should be making
Should
these
like have it
decisions
on
and
the
I
thing.
should know what I have to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where I learned that having some openness about
Mm,
what you're doing and inviting other people into that they're like most people really do care and they want to help just
yeah.
from the goodness of their heart, not for any
That is so true.
financial gain or anything like that. And
Hmm.
there's always it goes both ways. So they're helping you, but they're learning through
Yeah.
that process, and then there's opportunities for you to help them through that, and you learn grow through that process.
That's really good. Just a takeaway, like a lesson that just stands out here is just let let that happen, I think, and bring those, like, what are you resisting or maybe fighting that's a part of you that when you bring it
Hmm.
with you into all areas, you'll realize that you'll have the shift that you need for that growth, you know?
Hmm.
Like once you did that, once you brought that collaboration in and humility to all those areas, like look what happened. Like look how much growth you can have that
Yeah.
benefits your family, that benefits, your business, all those
Yeah.
things.
Oh, for sure.
So it's
I have
amazing.
two thoughts about that. So one is like our my business. Like before, I kind of put together a group of friends. I would say like, oh yeah, I think our business is run like at a 7 or an 8. Like I think we're doing pretty good. And then when you start to talk to other people and you work through things and you improve your business, you realize like maybe we're performing at like a 3. Like I think actually we're not like as good as we could be.
Yeah.
I guess maybe it's a more optimistic type thing.
Yeah.
And you realize like no, we can be a lot better. There's a lot of ways that I can improve this, but you don't know that if you insulate yourself and just
Yes,
you're kind of
true.
running.
Yeah.
It's hard to have that comparison. Um,
It's good.
yeah, and then the other one I lost my train of thought on that, but like it's just being that having that openness to grow. Oh, I know what it was. Is that I think the other second part like is turning that back on yourself. So like the
Okay.
introspection on yourself, like I said, it's like I didn't realize that I kind of shut myself off to getting counsel from other people.
Mm.
And your your ability to grow is totally related to like your ability to accept truths about yourself.
Wow, yeah, that's so good.
Right. So the more
Yes.
like if you can't turn the lens back on yourself and say, what am I doing wrong? How can I be better? How can I be
Mhm.
open? These kind of things, like you're gonna be just stuck in your ways
That's
and not
really
grow
true.
as much as
Yeah.
you could.
Oh, it's so good. There's so many like wise words in here. I can't wait for people to be able to listen. When you look toward the future, what are you most excited about?
Well, like we were just saying, I think realizing that, okay, I've been very blessed and fortunate, and our business has grown and we do well, but we could be so much better.
Yeah.
And I think that it's sort of like a epiphany, light bulb type moment where you're just like we can make this better. We can take it to the next level.
Yes.
I actually, whether through luck or chance or hard work, like we've gotten some good projects, we've got a good team, and let's continue to invest in this and keep building it and making it better.
Yeah, that's
Mm.
amazing. John, thank you so much for taking the time and coming on. This was a blast, as always.
Yeah, awesome, Lauren. Thanks so much.